people are sleeping, I go into their old radios and turn them into magic transistors and fly outside with them. You can't see me, I'm hidden, but you can see the green glow I make. I heard you laugh last night. I figured that you would be amazed by me. Listen to this.
Hello, YouTube and YouTubettes. Welcome to another album review. Today, by request, I'm going to review Blimp by Kill Artist. And this was released on July 7th, 2020, so very recently. And it's independent. I don't have a record label or anything, but you can find it on bandcamp.com. So this is like the third or fourth Bandcamp artist that I'm reviewing by request. And so I couldn't find a lot of info on this band, but here's what I found. From review by Sebastian, I found a review by Sebastian Radzikowski. Blimp is from Ontario, Canada, and that's pretty much all the information I can find. So I did change up my intro, and I hope you like it. I decided it was time to mix things up a bit. So the album cover is kind of dark with photos thrown in, hard to describe. It has kind of a retro, almost 90s conspiracy type movie vibe. I don't know how to explain that. Like if you were going to put a poster up for like a 90s cop movie or something, or early 2000s indie TV show. I don't know. It's interesting. Hard to describe except to say that it's different, but not quite a classic album cover. And I give this album cover an 8 out of 10. Now on to the songs. Track number 1 is called Mother Apple, and it's got this trippy sound to it, but also reminds me of just late 90s, early 2000s alternative or indie alternative rock, I guess you could say. Really cool retro vibe sound to it, and I think I have it higher on the artistic and production side. There's nothing really weak on this track. The only thing is it's really short, but overall I give this one an 8.2.
When the man he comes to town, grip the rifle.
Track number 2 is called Barrel Do.
Gun him down.
Another really kind of trippy song. I think the production is a little less than the first, but I was thinking when I was listening to this that the vocal kind of reminds me of the singers on They Might Be Giants. So if you've heard of them, yeah, I like what they've done with the vocals on this song. It's kind of got a sense of humor. I don't know if that was their intention, but it sounds like they're just having fun with it and they're not taking themselves too seriously. Then there's a spoken part, which almost, I'm not sure if it's supposed to be a spoof on those serious ballads when you have some emotional talking in songs, especially in oldies, like in the 50s, they would do that a lot. But I'm not sure if that's what they were going for, kind of spoofing that, or they were doing their own thing. But yeah, so this is an interesting song. It's not as catchy. It's very strange. So the score isn't as high, but I do find it very interesting, and I give it a 7.6. Track number 3 is called Deranger, and it's kind of like a, I don't know if ambient is the right word, but it's kind of got this repetitive, pretty cool chord changes on the guitar. I like the way they're playing the guitar. And as I was listening to it, I was thinking again, it sounds like early 2000s alternative that I was really into. That was back in my early 20s, so it has that kind of vibe to it, but also that sort of chant that comes in, and I'm not sure if they're just making sounds or if they're saying something in French or another language, or if they're actually talking about Trump, like Donald Trump. But anyway, that chant sort of reminds me of, there's a Beach Boys song, Heroes and Villains, where they were like heroes, a hero. I don't know. I just thought of that. It's not exactly the same, but it's kind of like this almost rap, but not quite kind of thing. So yeah, very, very interesting song. Just kind of grooves in along, doesn't really stand out or go anywhere, but it has some interest to it, and I give this one an 8.0. Track number 4 is called 1993, and this has a really cool vibe to it. I mean, everything is distorted. The vocals, there's a lot of overdrive on the guitars, and it's got this catchy beat to it. I have low score on the lyrical hook because I can't understand what he's saying. But the 1993, and it got me to thinking about like back then. So I would have been turning 16 that year. It shows you how old I am. And probably was really into Boys to Men at the time. I think there was music kind of like this back then, like Sonic Youth or Flaming Lips was probably doing stuff like this in 1993. I was still into pop music at the time, like R&B, rap, and pop rock and oldies. But I probably would have been more into this around 2000, the early 2000s. I would have dug this kind of style. But I'm not sure if that's what they were saying as far as 1993, if they're going for that style of like underground indie rock or what. But yeah, another avant-garde song that I can dig, and I give this one a 7.4. Track number 5 is called 12, and there's some familiarity to it. I think what I thought about when I listened to this was Daniel Johnston, his later stuff, like some of his last few albums, style. I don't know. I could imagine him doing this song, and that's kind of what I thought of. But it doesn't stick out to me too much. It is a little weird. I like the weirdness of it. I mean, all of these songs so far, their scores haven't been that, nothing over a 9 yet. But they're all interesting. Like they all have this weird vibe to them. But there's certain elements of the song I can't quite give higher scores to yet. And this one, I put a lower score on the production. I didn't care for the production that much, but it was a weird production. But I give this one a 7.0. Track number 6 is a really short instrumental, and it's called Lovely Melody. Just quite strange. I don't know if Lovely Melody is the right title for this, but anyway, I was just thinking if Jimi Hendrix were around today doing post-punk rock, this is probably what it would sound like, and I give this one an 8.3.
I am going aside right now.
Track number 7 is called Skies Aamide. This has a very almost pre-alternative, like hard rock, early 90s hard rock, but it's not that heavy. It's just well distorted, but it's got kind of that guitar riff that would be like just right before alternative rock, but it's kind of that indie hard rock of the late 80s, early 90s. Very interesting, very pretty catchy. Once again, it's there's something strange about it, but not quite to bring the score up for me. But I give this one a 7.4. Track number 8 is Father Figure, and this is another one with a strangeness to it. It almost feels like it's a basic rock song, and I could probably say this about all of them, but with strange sound effects and effects on the on the vocals and guitars and things that brings a psychedelic vibe to them. So this is just another one like that that brings interest. I heard elements of Radiohead from I'm trying to think which song it was. There's a song that Tom's voice is kind of muffled, and I can't remember right off the bat which song that I'm trying to think of. But also just that, just and a little Sparkle Horse maybe in some of his stranger stuff. So just another strange song, and I give this one a 7.0. Track number 9 is called Donkey Deer. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, but I don't think it's English. Perhaps French, I'm guessing. But anyway, this one really rocks. I haven't heard music like this in a long time, or in terms of new music, so it's kind of cool. This one really rocked. I mean, I could really hear this being an indie alternative rock song in the 90s. Really jamming guitar stuff going on there. The vocals are kind of weird, which I love. I love the weirdness of it. So I don't see this quite being like what I would ever think of as being a hit single anywhere. But, it's the catchiest song so far, I think, on the album. And, of course, it still has that artistic weirdness to it. And I give this one an 8.4.
If you support me.
Track number 10 is called Vissimo. And this has a really cool vibe. Another really strange one. I love the way the guitar is played. It's kind of like almost spooky a little bit, like I'm not sure how to describe the feeling of it, if it's like spooky or depressing or what, but it's very interesting. It's like dragging, kind of like carefree but spooky. I don't know how to explain that. Maybe dark is a good word for it. Very interesting. And I give this one a 7.6. Track number 11 is called Bullet Made Vest. And this is my favorite song on the album. It's very catchy. It's this weird, trippy. The guitar is played in a much higher pitch at the beginning, or throughout the song actually, than most of the album, and it's a really cool vibe. And then it's rapped throughout. It's catchy, it's artsy, it's creative, it's poetic lyrically. And I was thinking about this. It reminds me of, if you've heard, Crispin Glover. He's an actor. He was best known for playing the father in Back to the Future, and also was in Willard and some other movies. But he did a song back in the early 90s or late 80s, I don't know exactly the year, called Clowny Clown or something. And it's kind of like rap, but with weird backing track to it. And this kind of reminded me of that. Like the rapping style was kind of similar. And Crispin Glover is my favorite actor, and I'll just give a plug for him. And I have no idea if the artist, the Kill artist, had any thought of that when they wrote this, but I just wanted to point that out. Just another example, or just what I thought of when I heard this. But yeah, definitely my favorite song on the album, and I give this one a 9.0.
It'll be a long night. Gonna get
Track number 12 is called Off the Exterior, and this song is very strange. You know, I really dig it. I mean, I get it. It's somewhere between strange and like a half trying song. Like they're not trying to. I don't know. Like whether it's strange or terrible, I don't. It's somewhere in the middle. But I enjoy it. When I say terrible, it means like a lot of people would listen and think, oh, they're just kind of half asleep, sort of making something up as they go or something. But it's definitely a lot more complex than that. I love the bass in it. But yeah, this one's another solid song, and I give it a 7.4. Track number 13 is an instrumental called Fluid Motion, very short track, and it's very interesting. You know, I gave this high marks on artistic side, very low on the catchiness side, but I really do think this is an interesting short piece, and I give it a 7.0.
I see independent waves forming in the clouds.
Track number 14 is Ocean in the Sky, another strange song that reminds me of Daniel Johnston in his later albums. Just very odd. I can tell that the drums are purposefully done. Perhaps, I don't know if they're on repeat or something to keep it sort of on beat, but it's almost got that little, just a little bit off or something sound to it that, you know, Daniel Johnston kind of had in his productions, whether he was playing the instruments or somebody else was. But yeah, this is also probably one of my favorite songs on the album, and I give it an 8.2.
Into town.
Track number 15 almost sounds like it's trying to be country a little bit, like alternative country, but it makes me think of a group called Handsome Family if they were drunk. I don't know why that cracks me up. Just another weird one, and I give this one a 7.0. The album flow is a 10 out of 10. I really do think this is a good, you know, the production value is very similar throughout, has this strangeness to it. And I think that this music is, so I like creative and different music, and this is definitely, but this is different than what I normally listen to. But I think just I could really appreciate the strangeness of it, and you know, I think I would. This could grow on me. It's possible. So it's kind of like on the verge there of appreciating the weirdness, but not quite pulling me in fully yet. But yeah. So now I will pull out my handy dandy computer and calculate my formula. And this album gets a 7.80 out of 10. Thank you and have a wonderful day.
Tentacle, octopi, ABC, 1, 2, 3, tentacle, rape, hentai, tentacle, octopi, ABC,